Richard Hannon has been training for 43 years. He and son Richard run the biggest stable in Britain, with 260 horses housed at two properties near Marlborough in Wiltshire.
Strong Suit returns to the scene of his Coventry Stakes triumph and wins again at Royal Ascot.
Paco Boy stays a mile beyond doubt. The Queen Anne Stakes goes to Paco Boy, Richard Hughes and Richard Hannon. Canford Cliff's alongside Golden Cobra and gets his head in front. Canford Cliff beats Golden Cobra in a rousing duel to start the meeting.
Let's look at your success rate in the early classics. Your three before Sky Lantern were all 2,000 guineas winners.
Yeah.
Why is it, do you think, that you've been sort of so dominant or had so much success in those early classics?
Well, if we run them in the guineas, they're perfectly entitled to be there. And if you look back in all the books, you know, anything I've run in the 2,000 guineas hasn't been too far away. I mean, second, third, fourth. You know, they've all run good races. And, of course, it all started with Monfils. He won the first one when we needed it badly.
Tell me about the build-up to the first classic win, because you were 27 at the time. You were obviously finding your feet. I think you'd been training 3 years. Just how important was it that horse did what he did?
I was very important then, you know. I mean, we were definitely struggling, and I went to Jack Davis, the fellow that bred him, and he told me if I'd sold the two fillies, well, if I sold any one of those three horses, there was two fillies and Monfils, he said he would keep one in training with us. So we had a little bit of a deal there. I sold the two fillies, and funnily enough, the people wanted the fillies, didn't want the colt. So he was left with the colt, and of course he turned out to be a real good horse. But he was a strange one because he only had one gallop, the horse, and it was a good one, you know. He didn't have a turn of foot or anything. He just could gallop. And Frankie, you know what a great jockey he was. He found that out very quickly.
And Frankie played an important role, didn't he, in your early days?
Yeah, well, things weren't going great, as you know. My father had retired, and we were left with about 9 horses, and we were trying to get horses to train. And things weren't great money-wise, really. A lot of empty boxes, and I said to Frank, I think I'm going to have to pack this game up. And he said, well, don't do that. We'll get going in a minute. So he actually loaned me a few quid, which helped. And then all of a sudden he came along.
And where did the relationship with Frankie come? Had he ridden for you?
No, through my father, really. They were always good friends. And as I say, Frank was a great jockey and helped me a hell of a lot. And he's a wonderful fellow, really. And he was a thinking jockey, you know. He always had things before he went out onto a race course. He knew what he was going to do, you know.
Your second and third classics were both for brothers.
Yeah, the Horgan brothers. Yeah, they were good. They were. Don't Forget Me. He won an English one here, and you remember all the struggle with him that day, trying to get his foot right because he pulled a shoe in the box and bloody stood on it, and that sort of. We didn't think whether we. I said to Willie Carson, if you're going down to the gate now, if the horse doesn't feel right, take him out at the gate, you know. But he said he moved down like a dream, and he came back like one. Then, of course, he went to Ireland and won the Irish 2000, the same as Tyrrell 2 years later.
Royal Academy and Tyrrell, little between the two of them. After these comes Lotus Pool inside the final furlong, and it's Tyrrell sticking his old head out, but Royal Academy on the near side. It's Tyrrell who's got to win it. Tyrrell's won the guineas.
Inside the final furlong now, Don't Forget Me's the leader with Entitled wide. Ashdown towards the far side. Don't Forget Me's the leader in the guineas. Entitled's running on really well under Declan Gillespie on the near side, but Don't Forget Me's going to make it as they come to line. Don't Forget Me completes the guineas double.
And Don't Forget Me, that must have been a real sort of drama behind the scenes with I think you put ice in a boot, and you had the.
Oh, we had all the hotels empty of ice in Newmarket. We were trying to hot and cold him, you know, and things like that. And he actually, I suppose, when he got up to the, Michael Gorman said to me, leave it to me. He said, no, you go up to the races. And he said, I'll send the horse up. And of course the horse, I suppose, got the old adrenaline running, and everything. He pulled himself together. Thank goodness we got the shoe back on him again, and away we went. But he was very lame the following day.
Let's look at Toronado. He was disappointing in the Guineas, but there were excuses.
Yeah, he's one of the best horses that we've ever had here, Toronado. There's no doubt in my mind he's a very, very good horse. But we think what happened, I mean, going into the last couple of furlongs or furlong and a half, it looked like being a real two-horse tussle. And Hughes, he said, it was like he was travelling, everything fine, he said, but he just hit a brick wall, really. And he said he pulled up exhausted, but I think he dislocated his palate, got it over his windpipe, and it stopped his wind, and that was the end of it. But we've done a little procedure there, so that won't happen again.
So he's had a small op.
Yeah, he'll come back, that horse. He's very good. He's a great, lovely moving horse, and he really is a good horse.
But what it's done is it's messed up your plans for trying him over the trip, hasn't it?
Yeah, if everything had gone well and we'd have won the Guineas, then we'd have to think about it. But it's a long jump from a mile to a mile and a half. But through his pedigree, I mean, I rang John Magner and had a chat with John, and he said through his pedigree he will get a mile and a half. So anyway, it lit us all up a bit, and we thought we'd give it a try. If he won the Guineas, we'd give it a try. We can always come back. But as it looks now, we're going to go to the Ascot race.
The St James's Palace?
St James's Palace, yeah.
And then stick to the mile for the time being?
Stick to the mile, yeah. And there's a few races afterwards we can gradually work up with, like to a mile and a quarter. And then, you know, if everything happens there, we can even go on a bit further. We just have to take it step by step, really.
And Van der Neer, he ran very well. He finished third. He's always been a fairly promising horse, but were you a little bit surprised how well he ran?
No, I wasn't. He's a super little horse, and he gives his best too. And he's as hard as nails, and I tell you what, he will get a Derby trip. And that's where he'll go next, I think.
So, full steam ahead for Epsom.
Yeah, let's see. Let's go and have a go.
Richard, over the years you've had some great jockeys riding for you. Lester Piggott, Pat Edry on a regular basis. And now Richard Hughes, champion jockey, and he lands his first classic with Sky Lantern. What's that actually mean to your setup?
Well, to our setup, obviously any classic you can win is obviously a great thrill, you know. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But, you know, it was nice for Richard because he's been riding in England quite a long time now, and we've gone close a few times, but never actually won one. So, you know, it was great. Yeah, I mean, thoroughly enjoyed it. We had a great time.
Let's look at Richard Hughes' career and his association with you. How many years has Richard been riding for you?
I don't know. He's been here quite a few now. I couldn't. I suppose he's been here 10. Has he? 12? But we get on very well together. We're okay. And you can always take what he says as a jockey, and especially about the horses. You can always take it on board. He's never far wrong, really.
And for the last year or 2 years, you've been talking about possibly handing the licence over to Richard.
But it's about time. Richard's now 37. It's about time he got a few winners on the board, really.
And he's been in the business a long time, working beside you very closely.
Yeah, and he's very good at it too, and he's a very good buyer of horses, him and Ross Doyle. So they've basically taken over from me and Peter Doyle, really, at the sales quite often. But they bought some, yeah, really nice horses between them, and yeah, he's going to go on. He'll be good at the job.
And will the handover just be a quiet thing? It'll be just
just easy enough. It's just changing the licence over, that's all.
And the operation will be the same?
The operation will be exactly the same, because I can, you know, train horses here at home and go out with the string, 3 lots, both places every day. And you got to have something to do, Jim, haven't you?